Yes, very clearly. Thanks.
Hello, Robbie.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good
Hi, Vicky, how are
afternoon.
you? Oh, you're
Very
looking as
well.
fresh as ever. Good to see you again.
Good, good. Thank you. Yes, good to be here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good afternoon.
Hello,
Hi,
Jennifer.
Mary. Good afternoon. Hello, Nkechi. Good
Hi.
afternoon. Hi, Mr. Jude. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, I'm trying to get the background ready. That's why I removed my video. Good afternoon. Yeah.
Hi, Jude.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Gucci.
Welcome.
It's been a while. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to meet you here today. Okay, I'll send it now. Yeah. Open. Yeah. Aha. Yeah, I think I can show my video now. Okay.
So I need to get this background. I need to get this background.
Rabbi sent to me now, so I just got it now.
Robbie, do you mind
I need
sharing
to
with me as well?
I need to
I
mirror
will.
the
It's going to be put in the
yeah.
chat as well so that everybody can pick from there
Yeah.
if they want to.
Okay.
I need
Okay.
to
All right.
mirror
Great.
it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Jude, I almost don't recognize you without your glasses. I've never seen you
Yeah.
without it before.
Okay.
I have
let
never
me wear
ever.
let me
This
wear
is
my
my first
glasses.
time. It's my first time of seeing you without your glasses.
Yeah. No,
Yes,
I look so different without my glasses.
you
I look
do.
so different. Yeah. Yeah. So how are you? You are in with these guys now. I thought you moved
No,
overseas.
not at all.
Yeah,
Not at
it's
all.
okay.
So much
I
work
think
to still be done here. So much.
yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I'm trying to. I don't know how to mirror. I've forgotten how to use mirror. I think it's something like this. Pop out, no, minimize, view. There's a way you do this image so that it shows. It's showing a mirror image. Hide self view. No. We use mostly Teams and in my office. I'm not used to. Okay, whatever. I see. Settings, yeah. All right. I got it. Yeah. Hi, Izzy. I can see you on the call. How are you?
Good afternoon, Jude. I'm here. I'm on the call.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
I see so many of my colleagues here. It's so exciting to see. Taiwo, Gochi, I see you guys. Well, Chiamaka, this is beautiful to see. There was a time where we didn't have a lot of women in the pharma space, and now women are dominating the pharma space. So it's really beautiful to see. I'm happy to see you guys. Angela, wow, I haven't Angela, okay, I think the last time we saw was at let me see, where did we see? Protea. There was a
Yes.
regulatory meeting. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's the last time I saw you. It's good to see you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully at some point you'll turn on your camera so I'll see your beautiful face. But it's really good to see you.
Yeah, same here. Good afternoon, everyone.
over and the WIFPSA Summit is here, and it's time to set the stage for something extraordinary. Welcome to the event where visionaries collide with game changers, where bold ideas become transformative action, and where you take center stage in shaping the future. Feel the buzz, the energy, the excitement. This is more than just an event, it's a movement, a celebration of passion, purpose, and groundbreaking solution, ready to spark the next big wave. Think big, dream bigger. The strategies, the insights, and the innovations that will reshape industry are all happening right here, right now. Take a deep breath. The moment is yours. This is your time to be inspired, connect, and transform the world around you. Stay with us, stay engaged. Together, we are about to rewrite World Festival. The WIFPSA Summit begins now.
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Please, am I audible?
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
Yes, you
Am
are.
I visible?
Yes, you
Can you
are.
see my radiant and beautiful face? Everybody's admiring my beautiful face. What is going on? Can you see my beautiful face as well? Okay, all
Yes, we
right.
can.
So
Yes,
without
we
further
can.
ado, I'm going to begin the program. All right, and so we're going to start. And I want to assure everybody on the call, as more people join as well, that's going to be worth our time, what the effort, and what listening, and it's going to be very insightful, right? So once again, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Women in FMCG and Pharmaceutical Sales in Africa Summit 2024, right? And I'm honored to be here. My name is Emilola Konrabiat Oyeleng. I am your host for today. And like I said again, it's an honor to be here among such inspiring and trailblazing women. Our theme for today is building future-focused leaders. And that speaks to the incredible work that all of us here are doing to shape the landscape and the future of FMCG, as well as pharmaceutical sales. Each and every one of us here today are innovators, we're change makers, and we are driving progress. So each and every one of us here deserves a round of applause for showing up, for stepping up, and for always doing the right thing at the right time. So please, can I get the virtual applauses? If you don't want to unmute, that is okay as well. Oh, thank you. Now we need to celebrate the visionary behind this event, which is in form of Jennifer Opaleze. Jennifer is a seasoned leader with over 15 years in the healthcare sector. She's passionate about advocating for women empowerment. I myself has been a beneficiary of her advocacy, right? And her strategic mindset, she's innovative, her spirit is just one to really emulate. And she's dedicated to building high-performing teams. And as a product of one of those high-performing teams myself, this is why she has been able to make this summit possible. Jennifer has done such great work in the pharma space and even across the divide into the FMCG space as well. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jennifer, this remarkable, wonderful woman. Jennifer, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Amy. As you are describing me, I'm looking around wondering, are you talking about me or someone else? Thank you so much for the kind words. And thank you everyone for making our time to be here. Good afternoon once again, my distinguished speakers, guests, attendees. Good afternoon. On behalf of women in FMCG and pharmaceutical sales in Africa, I have the absolute pleasure to welcome you to this event. This event happens to be the inaugural summit for women in FMCG and pharmaceutical sales for 2024. So this will be happening every year, but this year marks the inaugural summit. So thank you and welcome for making it to the first event for women in FMCG and pharmaceutical space. So today, it marks a pivotal moment for us as we gather to discuss, collaborate, and chart a path forward for women in these vital industries. Why am I particular about FMCG and pharmaceutical sales? Maybe because I'm in pharmaceutical and I also have a lot of friends who are in FMCG space. So I realized that over time, as women in this particular space, we find it difficult to get mentors. We find it difficult to understand how to chart our path in this industry. For one, I found it very difficult when I started. I could remember my first job as a salesperson. I will never forget what my manager told me. That was the first place I worked. That was in Green Life. I joined. I was the only female in the team, and it was a male manager. And then the first day I came to meet him, after training, I was so excited. I came, and then he looked at me and said, "Are you sure you can do this job with the way you're dressed?" Anybody that knows me knows I'm a fashionista. I was well dressed with my heel and everything, ready to go. And he looked at me and said, "Sales job is not for wearing heel. Are you sure you can do this job?" And I'm like, it's not about how I look. It's about what I'm here to do. It's about what I can offer. So I looked at him and, I was resolved in my mind that I'm going to show him that a woman can actually do this. So he kept making a lot of remarks like, "I don't think I can deal with women. This sales job is not for him. Can you travel? Can you do this? Can you do that?" So I was really resolved to show that, being a woman should not limit me from what I want. It shouldn't limit me from my dreams. I want to go for this and I would achieve this. Being a woman should not be a limitation, which is one of the things that bettered this community. We are a community of people who came together to realize that we want to see how we can make impacts in the younger generation. So that is why this community was bettered. This summit is just more than an event. It's a movement. Through the work we've been doing, the WIFPSA community we've been doing, we are championing a cause that is long, long overdue. WIFPSA was founded last year with the purpose of empowering women, challenging barriers, providing a platform where everybody's voice and contribution can be recognized, celebrated, and amplified. Our vision is simple, but yet powerful: to create an inclusive and thriving ecosystem where women in the aforementioned industries excel in leadership, sales and marketing, and innovation. The agenda for today actually reflects one of our missions, so we'll be delving into the power of data and analytics in driving efficiency, explore the critical role of emotional intelligence in leadership, discuss how fostering inclusion can break barriers and elevate women across the industries. Our speakers, our seasoned speakers, and our panelists, we are carefully picked. These are people, these are leaders and change makers whose insights will inspire and empower us all. Your presence here today is also a testament to your commitment to drive change, support one another, build a future where opportunities are equitable and accessible. Let today be a space for connection, learning, and inspiration. A space where ideas are sparked, new collaborations are made. Together, we can redefine what it means to lead, succeed, and lift others. Welcome once again, and thank you for being part of this transformative journey. I'll hand over back to our delectable host to take us through the rest of the event. Thank you once more. Emmy, over to you. Okay, while we are waiting for Amy to, I think she's having a network issue. So while we are waiting for Amy to join back and continue the event, let me tell you a little bit about the women in FMCG and pharmaceutical sales. Like I mentioned, it's a community that was just formed last year, birthed from the fact that we realized that young generation of female sales and marketing people, young female sales and marketing people in pharmaceutical and FMCG space are looking for places where they can get a mentor, have access to mentors, have access to people who are already at the helm of affairs in these industries. I mean, I'm so happy to see a lot of women who have attained executive level in these industries, who have actually passed through, grown through the ranks to actually lead and understand what it means to be a leader, who are also very passionate about impacting in the next generation. So that is what Women in FMCG is all about, bringing together people who are experts that are willing to impact in the next generation. So this is one of the things we do. Aside this, we are also looking at, catching them young through our project where we call Sponsor a Girl Project. It's all about seeing how we can put young female children to school, especially in underserved communities, seeing how we can go to school and empower young people, tell them about leadership, tell them that you don't have limits. Being a woman does not limit you. See how we can continue to voice out and include women and advance women in leadership. So this is what WIFPSA is all about. So without wasting much time, I think our host is having network challenges. I would start up with the first speaker for today. So we are going to have our first keynote speaker who will be talking to us about breaking down barriers and fostering a culture of inclusion to empower female leaders. Kikelomo Fisayo-Okusanya. Sorry if I murdered your name. Forgive me. I mean, it's a passionate advocate for women's empowerment and inclusion with a wealth of experience herself in the corporate world. She has a first-hand knowledge of the challenges and opportunities facing women in leadership role. So Kikelomo will be telling us, sharing an insight from her expertise on how she has been able to lead and how she has been able to ensure that women around her are being included and how she has been empowering female leaders thus far. So thank you so much, Kikelomo. Thank you for being part of this journey. The floor is yours. We'll hear from you next week.
Yeah, can everyone hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kikelomo Fisayo-Okusanya. It was a good attempt, Jennifer. Yeah, I don't think you did a lot of modeling. I think you tried. And I'd say it's an honor to be here. In fact, a privilege to be here today at the maiden edition of WIFPSA's conference. And I'm excited to discuss, the topic that was given to me because it's one that's close to my heart. And it's really about breaking barriers and fostering a culture of inclusion to empower female leaders. Throughout my career, I've witnessed firsthand how, empowering women and creating inclusive environments not only benefits, individuals, not only benefits the women involved, but also drives business growth. I mean, I like to always say that because we are nurturers, we hate to fail. We tend to have, a drive for results. So when you put women in spaces and you empower them, business growth is almost a given. We also like to challenge the status quo. So if you put a woman in power, if you empower a woman, for example, innovation is sure to happen. And we've also seen that, inclusion and empowering women has also allowed for societal progress. So for me, inclusion is more than just a corporate buzzword. It looks like it's something in the air now that, everybody seems to be talking about. It's the key to unlocking the full potential of women in leadership. There are a number of researches that have been done, and they consistently show that organizations with diverse leadership teams outperform their peers in profitability, in creativity, and in decision making. And this is simple. because when you have a diverse team, you're able to bring to perspective everybody's what everybody's expectations or need is, and you're able to address those needs. And when you have a team that's energized and empowered, because they feel seen, because they feel heard, they will use what I like to call discretionary effort and drive business growth, profitability, creativity, and decision making is really quick, because that's what a lot of organizations tend to struggle with. We seem to be dancing around a lot of data, a lot of information, and we're not able to make quick decisions, right? Especially in the marketplace, which is what we need. So because women make up more than half of the world's population, we can't be overlooked, and even though men sort of got into industries like pharmaceuticals and FMCGs before us, they have no choice, they have to accept us and embrace us, as to speak. So I'd like to share, stories from my experience on how I've been privileged enough to break barriers. Not only because I was going to say, not only because I challenge status quo, not only because I'm not a pushover, but because I believe strongly in, making my mark. I also believe strongly in being given a fair opportunity to prove myself. So I'd like to describe myself, as a testament of what is possible, when women break barriers. When I started my career about 23 years ago as a sales representative, I was often the only woman in the room. The reason was simple. Once you became a sales rep, you got a pickup. You had to drive through different terrains. You probably weren't even posted to Lagos, where everybody wanted to be posted to. And only the guys seemed to be open to take up the challenge. And I remember coming for the interview, and I was speaking at the final stage with the then regional manager who was going to employ me. And he said, I really like you, but I'm not sure you can do the job. And I said, why do you think I can't do the job? He said, you're young, you're female, you need to go and work literally in the trenches. And from my experience, women usually start out the job because they really need a job. And then they just start calling you after 6 months to put you under pressure to put them in, seemingly softer positions. And I said, just take a bet on me and see how we play this out in the next 2 years. And he looked at me and he said, okay, I will take the bet, and I'm hoping that you wouldn't let me down. And I mean, we're here today. It came with its challenges, I wouldn't lie. There were times that, in the face of it, you're driving in unknown territories, spaces where you had never lived before. I was born and raised in Lagos, for example. My first posting was to Ilorin. There were times I doubted my competence. Even though I'm a Yoruba girl, my Yoruba wasn't as strong as I needed to trade, in that sort of place. But the willingness to be able to learn, expectations that I had to manage. So I adopted more conformity than wanting to impose myself, because I knew that for me to be able to win here, I needed to adapt to the environment, And in spite of the pressure, I was able to deliver, as expected. I wouldn't lie, as a woman, and I still get that, from a lot of women who are rising in their careers. When you start out and you need to prove your worth, there's a lot of pressure you're under. You tend to want to over-deliver. You feel like you need to bend over backwards. You need to do more than the average Joe to be able to be seen as being competent. And unfortunately, that's our reality. But we've seen women go ahead of us to do it. And I don't think it's something that is unsurmountable. And more so, in an environment where, people now are advocating for inclusion, especially gender inclusion and diversity and pharmaceutical, as we have it. Some other thing that has worked for me is every time I've had to go through or be a first at something, I always tell myself, you need to give this a shot regardless. It wouldn't be, even if I failed, it would not be for the lack of trying. And that's been my mantra over the years. Not because I feel like, I have all the answers, but because I believe in myself. You need to believe in yourself, because that's where the winning the battle starts from. But more importantly, because I'm never afraid to ask for help. Everybody knows me. Even now that, I sit on the leadership team for the company where I work, BAT, I still ask for help from the digital natives. So if there's something I don't know how to do, I'll ask you, can you please help me, teach me how to do this, you know? So don't be afraid to ask for help. I think one of the things we struggle with as women is that we expect that because society doesn't expect us to fail, you know, they would forgive a guy more than us. We then don't ask for help. We also suffer from the imposter syndrome. Trust me, everybody does suffer from that. You know, when we ask for help, it makes things a lot easier for us. You know, one of the most defining moments in my career was when I still had a very young family. I think this was about 14 years ago. And I had to accept an assignment outside of Nigeria. My family was young, children were under 10, both of them. And trust me, it wasn't an easy decision. I questioned myself many times. I was always thinking, would I be able to manage the demands of work and, you know, balance that with family? Because I'm also somebody who's very big on family. People say that women, we all live in boxes, but for women, the boxes are linked. So if something is messed up in one box, it kind of like flows through all the other boxes. And I'd say it's true. You know, so it was really a big question for me to say, if I took up this challenge, my family was young, I was going to move outside of Nigeria, would I be able to survive? Would I be able to deliver on the job and still not let, you know, things fall through the crack in the home front? But it was in that moment I realized that I couldn't do it all by myself. And I realized I needed to build, you know, like a strong support system for myself. And I've heard women say in different forums, you know, sometimes I feel compelled to want to fix it all. Please do not put yourself under the pressure to want to fix everything. We all need strong support systems. I'm choosing my words carefully. Not support systems, but strong support systems. For me, that meant my mother, because she had to stand in the gap and raise my girls for the 2 years that I was out. And I needed to trust that, you know, she would do a great job, because I couldn't be everywhere. And if I wanted to focus on my job where I was, I needed to lean on the help that family was offering me, you know. I also sought mentors, but I'll come back and talk about mentors and sponsors, because for me, I feel like we focus more on mentors, but we don't know we also need sponsors. And I think the guys do that better than us. We need to start thinking about it. And then I also realized that, you know, I couldn't look over the heads of my colleagues. I needed everyone who could help me. You know, there were times I needed to speak to people, colleagues at work, colleagues that are parenting as well as me, to say, you know, my kids are staying with my mom for 2 years. Sometimes we may have issues with doing school drop-off. I don't mind carpooling with you, having my children carpool with you. You know, and I just needed to take a risk. And in the end, the risk paid off, you know, and it allowed me to grow professionally. And I also feel like it made me become a great example to my girls. I quickly try to, you know, rehash some of the strategies that I adopted in the course of my career that have also helped me. We need male allies. What do I mean by this? I feel like naturally they're built for the workplace. So they understand the politics. We don't like the politics, right? And I believe a critical role in helping us champion, you know, this inclusion by calling out the biases. Because when we call out the biases, it sounds like we're whining. I've sat in different spaces, you know, leadership teams to know that. So when the woman is the one advocating for women and trying to call out biases, it sounds like we're whining. But when you have like a male role model, somebody who becomes like the ambassador for inclusion, a male ally, you know, calling out the biases, advocating for women and modeling inclusive behaviors, it also helps us empower more women as we move up the career ladder. In the organization where I work, BAT I mentioned, we set a target every year for us to improve, you know, the diversity in leadership. And we started out, you know, I remember some years ago, about 5 years ago, when that target was 15%. This year it is 45%. We're at 40%, but I think we've done it because it could have been less. You understand me? So the other thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, sponsorship over mentorship. Sponsorship over mentorship. While mentorship offers guidance, it's always good to have, a mentor that you can bounce things off, get their perspective, get them to ask you critical questions that, help you spotlight your blind spots. Sponsors are very critical. They're the ones who take the bet on us, and they're the ones who actively advocate for us to be empowered. Okay. And usually in my experience, I find that, sponsorship cannot be asked. So I can walk up to somebody and say, can you please be my mentor? But you can't do that with a sponsor. You need some proving to be able to get a sponsor. So what I always advise women is whenever you're in any workspace, don't do clicks, prove yourself, and let everyone who works with you enjoy working with you. I've heard people say, women are moody and women are angry people. I always prove to people I work with that I'm not that narrative that they want to slap on women because I don't believe it. I believe we're happy people. I believe that women naturally have the tendency to even network and break down walls for organizations because naturally we're sociable people, we're social people, and we like connections. We like to make friends, we like to talk to people, we like to meet people, we like to socialize, we're social beings. And that usually helps the workspace because it helps us build the networks that help us influence the environment where we work, right? So when you work with people and they know that you are dependable, when an opportunity comes and they need somebody, everybody, I always tell everybody looks for who would make their life easier. And they need somebody who would sort of like make it easy for them to excel, to win, to shine, they will think of you. And don't mind anybody saying you're just adding to the number. You have the role anyway. When I joined the leadership team of BAT, I was the second female, to join the leadership team. The first female was in HR. And, everybody always says, oh, HR is usually for women, you need soft skills, somebody who's emotional. I'm in marketing, and somebody could argue that, oh, they were just trying to get a second female. But hey, I'm here, and I'm influencing the decisions we're making because I understand that things need to work differently for women than they need to work for men. So, for example, women like flexi work because you want to be able to raise your family and you want to be able to achieve your goals. And we need to create those spaces that help women thrive. If I wasn't sitting in the room, maybe we wouldn't have somebody thinking that perspective, even if we had male allies. Some of the other things that have helped me is learning. So I'm a stickler for leadership development programs. So I always look for things that are tailored, programs for women from mid-level, from when I was in mid-level management career. So from mid-level roles, it can help you bridge that gap between the executive position and where you're sitting today. Because trust me, when the time comes, they just see that you can do the work. Technically, it's proven. The leadership skill required, they expect you to be able to display that. And it's good to have empowered yourself, before then. So as we look to the future, I'd like for us to remember that inclusion is not a favor, it is a necessity. Women bring unique perspectives that enrich decision-making, that drive innovation, like I said before, and reflect the diverse world that we serve. So, for example, I remember somebody was sharing with me early on in my career, she was an MD at one of the finance organizations in Nigeria, and she said when she was invited to the board of Kakawa, where she worked at the time, that they were talking about, the health insurance for staff. And they were saying, we spend so much money on maternal care, women care, pregnant women, and that sort of a thing, that we need to cut that down because we really don't need that because it doesn't really affect us. So maybe it's the guys' wives, maybe they can start looking for money, to take care of their families because it's making us spend a lot of money on healthcare. And she was the voice in the room to say, okay, so what happens to our female staff who have to work tirelessly, who get pregnant and have to raise children? They're probably the ones driving up the costs. If you don't give it to them, they will leave. And if they leave, you would have to fill the gap. And it's not always easy to retrain people. I don't think the guys made the comment because they wanted to spite women. They made the comment because they couldn't relate. So they didn't even think that it was a thing. It's like talking about maternity leave and you're saying women need 6 months. Guys are thinking, what are you going to be doing for 6 months? But you know, because you've gone that path before, and you wished you had 6 months, right? And you know that if you give 6 months to somebody who's just coming up in her career, she will come back because she has a 6-month-old baby who's already eating solids and be more. Sorry, can you hear me? Somebody was saying something. Okay. You know, should be able to focus on work, because she's had time to take care of business, as family. So we need to create environments that value and empower women. And this would help us build stronger businesses and a more equitable society. So to all the women who are present here, I urge you to embrace the power of your story. Never underestimate the value of your perspective, the value of your voice, and the value of your leadership, because there's nobody like you, right? And to everyone else, leaders, allies, and advocates, we need your support, we need your advocacy, and the action that you will do is what will drive the change for us. So in conclusion, I'll say we shouldn't see inclusion as just a policy. It is a mindset, it's a commitment, and a catalyst for change. And together we can build workspaces, where women not only lead, but they thrive, where they shatter glass ceilings and they redefine what leadership should look like. Thank you very much for your time. I'll leave us with a note to continue to champion inclusion. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Madam Kikelomo. And really, I think even just hearing you speak, I'm more inspired to do better on a daily basis. One of the things that stood out for me in your speech was the uniformity of purpose, right? In getting your mother along with you, and getting your spouse along with you, and getting your colleagues along with you. Another thing that stood out again is the importance of breaking barrier and fostering inclusion. From a 15% to a 40%, that is huge, right? And let me market myself. I'm the 5% you're looking for at bat. So I look forward to joining the team and just completing your numbers as you mentioned earlier. Okay. Another thing I believe that a lot of us don't do, and you mentioned on very important, is the part about playing politics, playing the office politics. I think one of my former bosses called it playing smart politics. And I think the rest of us here today have really noted that down. Also, I think I love the part you mentioned about having a strong support system, emphasis on the strong. And in conclusion, I think having male allies, championing our causes and really just staying the path. And I think everybody here today understands the importance of proving ourselves. We might have to work on the mood swing. I myself think I've brought the standard down, but going forward, I would make sure that at every point in time, I don't let my mood swings really interact with other colleagues that I might work with as well. So thank you very much for that insightful conversation, for that insightful talk. And we would have questions for you as soon as we get to the Q&A. Right. So one of our primary sponsors for today is Friesland, and we know Frieslands are people that make pig milk, right? So they will be giving out gifts to participants during the course of the event. The first 5 persons that join this webinar today will be getting a gift from Friesland. The first 2 questions, or 3 questions, let me be nice. Per Q&A as well would also be getting gifts. And towards the end of the event, we'll play a small game that, of course, the winners of those ones as well will be getting gifts. So throughout the course of the event, we'll be giving out 30 gifts before the end of the webinar. Now, I have the pleasure. I wrote something very nice for you. I apologize earlier. Internet kicked me out. I went online to Google you. I read so much about you. I'm like, wow, okay. Let me bring all that. But I'm sure before the end of the event, I'll be able to put a bit of snippet to that. Now, I have the absolute honor of introducing the moderator for the panel sessions, right? Ladies and gentlemen on the call, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Jennifer Esiaba. She is a brilliant mind, right? A dear classmate from university. Jennifer is a seasoned pharmacist with years and years of experience in the healthcare sector. She's an advocate of blending compassion with strategic thinking, and her deep understanding of the healthcare landscape and her passion for driving meaningful change sets her apart and makes her perfect to be able to steer this next session with our panelists. Today, Jennifer will not just be guiding the conversation, she's going to be igniting thought-provoking discussions, inspire actionable insights. And trust me, she has been sparkling brilliance right from our university days. So I have no doubt that this next session is something that we want to pay attention to, we want to learn from. Ladies and gentlemen on the call, please join me in welcoming the ever beautiful, ever impressive Jennifer Esiaba. Jennifer, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly. I have a cold, so my voice is a little bit challenged. Please let me know
We
if you
can hear you loud and clear, Jennifer.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. And I'm super excited to be in this exciting summit. And I just want to welcome everyone to today's session for the WIFPSA Summit. My name is Jennifer Isiaba-Kraga, and I'll be your moderator for today's panel discussion. And then we're going to be talking about leveraging data and analytics for growth and efficiency in sales and marketing. Now, as a healthcare advocate and a pharmacist, I've always been super intrigued by how we can use data to completely change how we engage with our customers and how we can also use data to grow our businesses. And I know that the panelists for today's first session are all here to inspire us with their expertise and their stories. So let's dive into the world of data. And I keep saying data analytics, and then I'm not speaking about boring spreadsheets and charts. Think about practical insights and tips that you can use to completely advance the strategies that you employ at work and in businesses, and also a bit of fun as we explore how analytics can truly elevate sales and marketing, especially in an emerging markets like Africa. So before we jump right into our conversations and the questions, I would like to introduce our incredible panelists in no particular order. We have Julie Wole Ajayi, who is a seasoned health expert and a tech visionary. She uses data analytics to drive growth and efficiency in healthcare. Julie, hello, good afternoon. I think we're all ready for your brilliance to shine today. Welcome to the session. Next up, we have Kikelomo Fisayo-Okusanya, who is a powerhouse in sales and marketing, and she's known for her data-driven strategies and impactful customer experiences. Hi, Kike. Welcome to the call today, and we're sure you're bringing all the fire to this session. And lastly,
hello.
Hi, welcome. Lastly, and definitely not the least, we have Ibukun Adetuyi, who's a pharmacist turned digital marketer and very passionate about harnessing data to build meaningful connections. Hi, Ibukun. I can already tell that your insights will be super inspiring. I equally have a marketing background, so I'm swamped to hear all of you speak. So let's give all of them a warm round of applause, or like a flood of emojis since we're tuning in virtually. You can put that in the chat box. So let's set the stage with the first questions. And I will start with Julie. Hello, Julie. Can you share with us key steps you have taken to uncover valuable customer insights from data analysis in the FMCG and pharmaceutical sectors? And maybe you can also just provide a little bit of like an illustrative case study where these insights have led to transformative business decisions. Over to you, Julie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. The network, I got taken out a little bit. So could you just reiterate your question?
Sure, I will. We're starting the first question, and I was asking, could you please share with us key steps that you take to uncover valuable customer insights from data analysis in the FMCG and pharmaceutical sectors? And maybe also if you can provide an illustrative case study where these insights have led to a transformative business decision for all of us.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. And great to be here on this panel. And thank you. So in terms of how to uncover insights from data analysis, it's very simple, right? What we see these days is there's a lot of data, right? Everybody has data, the data from your gadgets, the data from your phones, the data from everything you use and all of that, customer insights. But what people don't know is how to move from having data, because data is a collection of information, and that is what it is, to insights, which is actually bringing out patterns, bringing out information that are actionable, useful for you to implement. So what you need to do in order to move from just data collection and analysis to insights generation is, first of all, you collect the data, right? You collect the data, ensure that it is you put it in a form where it could be, for example, you could have customer feedback data, you want to have market trends data, you work in maybe a sector, you want to have information about your community and all of those things. You collect the data and then you segment the different data, right? Because the various data, thank you, the various data have different segments. And then what you need to do also is to analyze the patterns. What exactly is happening? Are there trends? Are there growths? Are there patterns? When you see an offshoot, what is the reason? You check it versus the date versus the everything. You need to be able to check why it is different. And then you combine this data. Another thing you need to do also is to get feedback. Whatever you do to get insights, you must get feedback. We have that tendency of, because our product or whatever it is we're doing is so wonderful. It is one, because you can have a fantastic product, but just one little thing, and maybe somebody, it could be, I'll give you an example. There are certain creams like actives, retinol, hyaluronic acid, all of those things, adapalene. You should not combine actives and be under the sun without a sunscreen. But people would use it and be under the sun, then they start having skin reactions, right? That little lack of feedback from them to say, how did you use it, right? They start giving you the negative information. So you need to make sure you have feedback. Then act on your insight. What is the insight doing? Now, I want to give you for that question, I just want to give you a simple analogy of how maybe a company like Pfizer was able to utilize something like that, right? So they wanted to have their product Viagra. Viagra is sildenafil citrate, and they wanted to make sure it was selling. It was selling amongst a certain age group. We all know the elderly and all of those, that has lack of sexual function. But the truth is, they wanted to also make it also available to the younger community, because even sexual dysfunction would happen there, right? So they were able to first collate the data on the why. Why are younger people not looking towards using a product like Viagra? So I wish I could show you a picture of what they eventually was able to collect the data, get the insights to see that the younger ones felt, number one, they felt it was giving a negative outlook, right? They didn't want that. And then also the onset of action. Younger people want to be faster. They want to do things faster. So that insights generation, collecting the data, analyzing it, and putting it together with feedback, but they were able to come up with a new formulation, which is the chewable Viagra. And best believe that the packaging in itself does not look like a typical medication. It looks like a mint and something very elitist, which a young person can take without feeling very ashamed. So something like that was what Pfizer used because of data collection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie. That was, an amazing example. And I am aware about the blue pill, and I know how much that changed the dichotomy of purchasing sildenafil amongst the young people that do use Viagra. So that's such a great example. Thank you very much. I'm tempted to ask you to jump the gun and ask you a little question, but just like a little tip. How do you have a set way that you prioritize your data focus when you have to juggle multiple goals, like in a sector as complex as healthcare, or you just go with most important to least important?
The first thing first is, what is your objective? What do you need the data for, right? And what are the other goals that you need to juggle with? And then you just prioritize what you need to do. If this data set is very important to you and it's very important to decision making, it's very important to maybe sales, or it could do something, then you need to prioritize that data collection. And you also need to ensure you utilize tools that can make it easy for you, so that you don't have to be the one collecting data. There are mobile applications, software applications. There are various ways that you can collect data. You can also do something as simple as web listening to understand what the clients are saying about your product. And you don't have to do it yourself. You can outsource it while you juggle on other things, right? So somehow, just like Kikelomo said, we females, we are superhumans, and we seem to be able to get a lot of things done.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's so amazing. I can't believe we're on the first question and my notepad is almost full with taking notes. I love how you have broken this down to the most basic and simplest form. And thank you so much for that. So Kikelomo, we're coming to you now. And my question for you would be, can you tell us how data does play a key role in sales optimization. So can you please share with us a detailed case study on how you personally have leveraged data analysis to optimize sales performance in the medical gases sector? And maybe you can also share with us if there were any specific steps and what were the measurable impact you got from that.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here. I love what I'm seeing. The women are coming together to do a lot of things. And I say congratulations to all the women on this forum, because if you can do this together, then we can change the narration about women in the industry. I remain Kikelomo Fisayo-Okusanya, and speaking to the question that you asked, migrating from the FMCG and pharmaceutical into the industrial and medical gas sector was a hit. But, like we have all shared, sometimes when people feel, oh, you cannot do this, as a woman, you have to be focused and vocal and come out to put your foot on ground and say, oh, I can do this. I can actually do this and achieve more than is expected. So a lot of things that data were used for to up the skill, joining the industrial and medical gas sector, because I was a novice. So I had to, put so much hands on product knowledge and trying to understand the team. But because of the experience, like we always say, like we have been saying, everybody has shared since morning, since we've been on this call. Experience will always take you there, and from the angle that most people see women are coming into play, especially when you are taking over from a man, it's always a hit for you. But with data, I was able to do a lot of things, and like Julie shared, analyzing your sales is very, very important. You need to analyze the sale and first of all look in depth. What is happening? What is the current position of the organization? And also, this will help you to be able to do a market, the customer segment, and also know your market trends. You have to know the purchasing power. Who are those buying? Who buys well? Is there a trend in purchasing? Is there a reason why there's a flow? And with all this information, you can be able to transform a lot within the space of sales. And like the experience we had with one of our branches that was not doing well, and I had to look in depth that with all this data that was put together, I delved in depth that what could be happening. And I saw that, okay, it seems the target was not properly communicated, or it was looking as if the target was high. But I saw that with communicating the volume and breaking it down with all the data collated, a lot can happen. So I re-strategize communicating the volume targets rather than the volume value targets. When you communicate the volume targets, the numbers will surely come. So with this initiative, we were able to see the strengths of customers doing well in certain, in FMC, we call it SKUs. So in those product segments, we're able to see that, okay, these customers are actually doing well in this area. And we're able to call the attention. I was able to call the attention of my team to that direction, that focus on these areas, focus on this area, focus on this strength. And before you know it, we're able to record like a 20% month-on-month, increase in our sales coming from that particular branch. And this also did not, this didn't even stay just with that particular brand. It reflects across, because as it was sharing best practices, every other person on the team were trying to replicate same idea. And this really brought, out the good, and and the excellent parts of the team. So I would say we should, a take-home for us today is that we should not joke with data, especially this season that we had. Data is doing a lot. Data can be extracted to delve into the insights of what is happening and can actually take us to the next level on our career path. Thank you.
Very, very impressive results. Thank you so much for that. So I want to ask you, can you give a small bit of advice to people or leaders who are looking to piggyback off of what you said and maybe replicate similar success stories in a market as competitive as Nigeria?
Yeah, I will just advise us, regardless, because I know we have men too on this call, we should just stay focused and stay so strong, be determined with the strategy you want to use, because with every organization you're joining, with every role you find yourself, you must always have a strategy to work with. So your strategy can be defined. For example, I came up with something called the BEFIT strategy, and I came up with some of my digital skills. I put it together to interpret my thoughts, which is the current idea that my company is using today. And I spoke to the strategy. So you can form your acronym to speak to your strategy with your team. You know, it can be different, you know, studying your organization or where you're working with, you will be able to pull out, you know, the strengths, the weakness, using your SWOT analysis to actually get out the best of what you want to communicate. And with that, you can be able to put things together, even something that nobody has ever formed. You put your talk together, develop your, you know, digital skills. We have Canva that you can use to do so many things, and you can lay your hands up to just form ideas, and so many things can just come into your head and you put it together. Instead of using your paper and biro most of the time, you can creatively, even if you are not perfect on Canva, bring out the idea and you put it there. You become perfect day by day, and before you know it, it will be an acceptable strategy that the company will buy into. I came up with that strategy and I said, okay, I'm building up a team. I'm making the team to be functional. It's a team I met that they don't have tasks assigned to them. So I made everybody to see themselves as a leader by, you know, giving them authority to push out all the, like, I think Julie mentioned that, like something delegating. So you delegate to them and make them feel empowered. And by the time they feel empowered, you are not the only one doing the talking during your meetings, and they are involved. So I came up with that strategy revolving around being involved and transforming and speaking to the core values of the company. So I encourage you, women, men out there, you can do it. You can do more than I've done. And there's a great thing inside of everyone that we can push out to actually show the world that we can.
Thank you so much. I love the idea of acronyms. They are super catchy and everyone can remember them and use them in their daily activities. I love acronyms so much. I also love the idea of giving everyone a sense of ownership. People can then, you know, carry out their task feeling a lot more empowered than just being regular staff members. Thank you so much for that. Hi, Ibuku, I'm coming to you now. So as a pharmacist turned marketer, can you please share with us an approach that you have that, you know, synergizes your healthcare knowledge with data-driven marketing strategies? You can also maybe tell us what applicable practical tips can you share with us?
All right. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for that question. I must say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to see women and maybe some men with like minds looking to see how we can move things forward within our industries. And yeah, once again, great pleasure to be here. I think I've enjoyed every ounce of, you know, the conversation so far. Okay, so the question again, how do I blend my pharmacy expertise to drive data-driven marketing, in my current or, experience? Okay, so I would say this. Marketing is, of course, it's both an art and a science. And at the core of my pharmacy practice or my pharmacy education is the fact that I have my roots in science. And I think that one part of marketing that I enjoy so much, right, is that scientific part, okay, where, you're researching deeply into your market and who you want to really reach, okay? I remember once I had, when I was trying to pivot into marketing, I went for an interview and I cannot forget. And I think he asked me the question and I didn't have the answers then. But the interviewer sharply told me, said, every marketing endeavor starts with research. Guess what? That singular line, has stuck with me till today. And I would say that it's one of the principal ways to approach marketing, that scientific way where you're digging into research to understand really what is happening. I think Julie mentioned checking data, right? Checking trends, researching what is happening in the market. For example, you're checking, the diabetes market, what is happening, what is the projection. By 2030, we're going to have more diabetic patients, more people living in Nigeria with diabetics. What do you do with that number in itself? All right. You're also checking and deep diving into your own data within the organization, what is available to the organization in terms of sales, where you're deep diving into your channels as well to see what is happening in all of those places. And with that, you're able
because when time reach, something that do the better. That is the vex. That is the vex.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Okay, thanks. All right, so you're able to deep dive into all of those data and come up with assumptions. Usually you will hear from the horse's mouth beyond the data. You begin to get, like patterns from whether your data or from your interviews of the stakeholders. You're checking with people in the organization, what is happening with this brand. The previous marketing activities that we have done, how did it turn out? All right, what is the most effective ways of doing things? And with that, you begin to make, you have target areas to now focus on. And so for me, I think that ability of using science to approach marketing really is where a lot of the work is being done, right? Because when you can identify your whys, then it's easy to know your how, right? Gradually, you find out that you can now drill down to buckets of audiences. You can now drill down to customer journeys of your audiences and make informed decisions. What is the pain of my customer at this point, right? And you have different hypotheses. Oh, okay. It's this channel, right, that is giving us the bulk of our business, right? And what is all right, what is happening with the other channels? And you find what are the solutions. I remember when I started in this current organization, there was an activity or an activation that we used to take in the hospital channel alone, right? And I realized that there was a gap. And one of the things that, we're able to introduce in that singular effort was taking that same activation to another channel, because I realized, okay, from McKinsey reports, they say that the pharmacists are the first point of call when it comes to a lot of health problems. Yes, you're doing great at the hospital channel. It's giving you some measure of results. But what is happening with this channel? What if you took that singular data that says that you have that first point of call, and then you empower, this particular channel to do more, right? And uncover the kind of consumers that you're looking for. I would say that a few of those singular, steps that one can take just by testing, right? So you're testing in that particular channel, for example, you find out that, oh, this thing seems to make sense. The consumers, you're able to touch more consumers, you're able to personalize their experiences, they're able to ask you more questions, you're able to partner more. And of course, these are people, maybe that particular channel can increase their uptakes from you. All right, so you are looking from research, having different hypotheses, you're testing them, all right, and scaling up on the things that work, all right. Yeah, pretty much, I would say that this background of science is my approach to a lot of things and in marketing. And so when I take up the science, I'm able to add on, the creativity, because now once you scale up on good ideas or basic assumptions, and you see that there is some measure of success in those assumptions, you can scale up and say, oh, let's expand it to different regions. And voila, in few years or in 1 year, in 2 years, you see that you have picked up the numbers in that channel. And pretty much that's my own approach. And I think that that's one place that I've been able to blend my roots in science and pharmacy to drive data-driven initiatives or marketing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can tell that the blend of expertise that you have in data is so super powerful. And I love the example you shared on how important it is to do proper research, and that equally showed how there's a strong synergy in both worlds. And I love the speech that you just had now. Thank you so much. So we're going to build up off of this first round of questions onto the second round of questions and be discussing challenges and solutions in data-driven strategies. And I am going to circle back to Julie. Are you ready for me, Julie?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I'm ready for you.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Okay, so many of us struggle to translate data into meaningful action. What are your top 2 or 3 challenges that you faced? And then can you tell us tips or steps or strategies that you've employed to turn data into impactful decisions that would lead to customer success?
Okay, thank you very much. So first of all, let me start with the challenges, right?
Okay.
We all know data is life. Airtel couldn't have said it better, right? So, but then again, there are challenges even to getting the data. The first number 1 challenge is the data quality. It can be really poor, right? So you want to get data, you want to do surveys, you want to do some things, and you're not getting, a consistent result in what you want to do. Getting the data itself can be a challenge, and getting clean data can be a challenge. Even when you use people, it can be an issue. So obtaining those data, and also the willingness, I've also faced a challenge also with, willingness to give out data. So in Nigeria, people are very suspicious, by the way, right? They want to know, why do you want to take this? You have to start explaining those things. And then another third challenge is getting the insights, like I mentioned, extracting the insights from the data that you even have, whatever you have, really, as far as the collection of, numbers, information, that's data. Now, making it make sense is also a challenge, because if you're not someone that tries to really be hyper-focused to understand trends, with looking at numbers, if you're not someone that has that kind of, quality to be patient And, to think through the 360 model, it can also pose a challenge. So even you can be a challenge to the data that you have. You could be sitting on fantastic information and not know what to do with it. A typical example is, most of us have watched the movie Titanic a long time ago, right? So someone sat down and said, this is the greatest ship in the world, right? It's not sinkable. That is you thinking about yourself, not thinking about the external environment, not getting data. Now, when you even had data, the captain of the ship had data, there was a small iceberg. But because there was no insight to know, should we reduce our speed? Have we ever seen an iceberg of this nature before? Why is it suddenly in this part? There was nothing of those extraction of the insights to do that. And so they hit an iceberg they saw the tip of the iceberg, but really the main extraction was way below the sea, right? This is exactly what lack of getting insights can do. You will miss important information that is actually very much valuable to you, just because you didn't take time out to extract the data. Also, another challenge is your team may want to resist change, right? Some people distrust data. I work in a data company, right? We get data from the source. It's not even subjective, it is real world data from the source, especially for pharmacy channel, right? But we still get people that distrust data because they don't want to adapt to understanding that data is very important. So I usually would ask a CEO the question. I would say, if you get on a plane that is not interacting with the control tower, or the pilot doesn't even have anything on his dashboard to work with, if there was no weather reading to understand the weather in the air, would you confidently ride on that train? That is exactly, so people distrust data. So one of the few tips I would have for you is, for most of us, is to really start small with the pilot project. Whatever you have is good enough. It could be as much as even a small WhatsApp campaign that you have in few regions. Start small with pilot projects, no matter what you face. And then also, you could also make sure you bring in stakeholders very early, because you are not the only one that can interpret data. You may not have data analytics skills. I work in core marketing, and I would have someone that would analyze the data, clean up the data using AI, and then when it's time to get the insights, all of us will sit together and brainstorm together to get insight. The truth is, you could actually use artificial intelligence tools, but they are what it is. Garbage in, garbage out. They pull out from every source. Believe me, as much as we use certain AI tools, if you're not careful, it will give you exactly what it has. But the human element still has that superpower. And so that human element for you is, when you want to analyze data, bring people on board. They would help you make sense of certain things that you were not even focused on initially. So that would be just my take. The challenges and then the few things you could do is starting small and bringing people on board with expertise and experience that can also help you in making insights from the data. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The strategies that you have just shared are completely invaluable. Now, I was going to follow up with another question, but you have answered it. I was going to ask you, how do you ensure, you said having data is one thing, drawing insights from the data is a completely different ballgame entirely. So I was going to ask how you ensure your team aligns with, actionable insights that you derive from the data, but you have just highlighted it. And so I'm glad that you touched on that as well. Thank you so much. So we're going to be spinning around back to Kike. And my question for you, Kike, would be, many of us face internal resistance when we're trying to, implement data-driven strategies. Can you dig into your pockets and, share with us some of the biggest obstacles that you have personally encountered, and then share with us as well, how did you successfully navigate through them to drive adoption?
Thank you once again. Thanks for the opportunity. I think one of the major obstacles, the internal resistance, when you want this way, the collation and everything, and people are not just used to that aspect of the way you're doing things. For my own last experience, I'm sharing, and you need to just start adopting strategies to see ways that you can make people buy into that, innovation that you have brought on board. And one of the things that I was able to do perfectly well was before I delved into training, we have different types of leadership styles. So I have to go back to my leadership, board table to actually see the perfect fits and how to twerk, to use multiple leadership styles to fit into different mindsets and different kinds of people, because they are the ones that are actually bringing the numbers. So I started doing like like I put data together and showing the best out of everyone, and placing like a comment which I share months or months. So I'll place a comment. I would ensure that I empower you with words, bring out that particular thing that is good in you to be able to drive, that the best of what I want. And eventually when people started seeing that, they are always looking forward to the newsletter to see that, okay, there's a comment coming from me, there's an appreciation note coming from me, from the head of sales. I'm looking forward to it. So it makes everybody to sit up. I rated everything, even the task that was assigned to everybody. I was rating it because some are expected to do once in a month, some are expected to do 4 times weekly tasks, some are expected to. So I make sure that I rated every data that I put together from all those things to actually transform into training on board. You need different practices. You be at Port Harcourt today and be at Warri or be at Akadu.
Okay, I think the network is a little bit unstable. Okay, so while we wait for Kike to come back into the room, we'll just jump to the next question. And the next question is for Ibuko. Oh, okay, Kike is back.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that. Yeah, you need people to actually help you to put those things together and be able to, break the barriers and obstacle faced in organizations. I don't know if I able to. There was a break in transmission.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
but I mean, we got the bulk of your answer to the question, and I was just going to share that the very practical advice that you shared with us. Do you have a, what cultural shift or mindset changes have you found to be most effective for overcoming resistance in a company?
As an individual, you just have to be determined that this is the path you want to follow. Like somebody shared earlier, maybe it's my namesake Kikelomo that shared about I missed the word now. About politics, yes. In every other organization, you will always find star politics in there. So you have to be empower yourself personally. You can't achieve anything. So it's self-determination from the inside. You're ready to do this. You are ready to pour in all. And like someone shared that you keep learning. You keep exploring, learning, to give yourself that mind shift that you want to sell to the outer world. If you don't have that inside of you, then you can't sell it to the next person.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Growth is always a marathon and never a sprint. Thank you so much. So Ibuko, we're back again with you. And my question now would be, You know, many of us worry about the ethical use of customer data, especially in sensitive sectors like healthcare. Can you share best practices that you have found helpful for harnessing data for marketing while ensuring that, you know, we're protecting the privacy of customers and being compliant as well?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think pretty much data, even beyond just pharma, right? There's a lot of ethics that is involved. We have bodies, you know, that regulate the use of data, and there are several incidences also that have happened with people's data, and beyond just the need for data in pharma, right? Best practices are needed across board. And for me, I would say that in addressing privacy concerns in healthcare, right? It's important because healthcare is a sensitive issue, and there is a need to, above all, prioritize trust. And with trust, there's a need for transparency. People are more willing to share their data with you when they know how it's going to be used, how it's going to be processed, and much more, they want to know that their data is also, you know, protected. Somebody's not going to reach them, asking them to come and buy or, you know, do any other thing apart from, what the data has been said it will be used for. So again, when, you know, one is collecting data, there is a need to also build privacy into the designs of all such data, right? Where, for example, you know, there's a need to have permissions, all right, deciding, oh, okay, I'm going to have to collect your data, and this, you know, I'll need you to give consent for your data to be processed. I'll need you to give consent for your data to be used in a certain way, right? So those are important considerations when it comes to data. And then when it comes to, you know, using all of this data again, right? Because of course, there is one step. Data goes beyond just aggregating the data. You now need to build insights. For us in our organization, there is a need to de-identify, right, data where, you know, data is not particularly linked to one person, because that in itself is the background for using the data. You want to build insights out of the data, right? So what you want to do is anonymize and aggregate data without it being linked directly to an individual. You're checking insights with regards maybe age ranges, regions, behaviors, but you're not given looking at the data as an individual. So that is a way to protect the privacy of you know, or address privacy concerns. Of course, like I said earlier, there are different regulations for different countries. Even different, the app stores have their own regulations as well, and you usually will need to, you know, probably, you know, when you do a new feature or something, you're going to feed them back and let them know, like Apple, and they respond to you in a certain amount of time. Then each country has their own data laws. Very important to comply with the regulations and the standards of of each country. Then, of course, beyond all, like I said, use data to create value, not exploit. You cannot take data, you can't take your consumers' data or your customer data, and you're using it for something else, right? They entered in their information to try to get or download that ebook, right? You're not going to use that. You should be very careful about the use of the data. And this would also need you to carry your team along who has access to the data. Are they being trained on how private that data needs to be addressed, right? They cannot take that data and share with any other person. They cannot take that data and use it in any other way other than the way that you have said your data is going to be used. And again, of course, at every point, you should also offer easy opt-out options. And those are new trends in the use of integrating privacy into data collection. And so, summarily, I'm saying that privacy concerns, and when it comes to aggregating data, you need to end the trust through ethical actions, build privacy into your designs, align with regulatory frameworks, and let your team know the importance of keeping data as it should be kept, right? And also being transparent with your consumers or your customers and sticking to it, all right, would necessitate that you do a few things, and it will keep you really out of any form of litigation, legal issues, whether also in the future. So, yeah, thank you. And I'm sure that data still remains an essential part of marketing, and it's the way we collect data is also still very important. And that's why we continue to need to approach data collection with strong ethical compliance.
Thank you so much. I personally know that balancing privacy and personalization can be such a huge challenge. And I love how detailed all the answers the women on the panel sessions have been. And I think we should all give them thumbs up in the comment section, because I was going to ask, can you give us 1 or 2 tips to, how we can ensure that our customers feel comfortable with how their data is being used? And you literally just itemized all of it at the end of your answer. So thank you so, so much. And I can see all the lovely emojis going out for all of the women on the session today. Thank you so much. So now we're moving to the future of data in sales and marketing. And I'm excited because this part of the discourse is something that we can become super practical for all of us and can help us move our business from point A to point Z. So it's a great one. Now we're going to be starting again with Julie. My question for you, Julie, would be, as leaders, we know that it is very important that we stay ahead of industry trends. So from your vantage point, what emerging developments in data analytics excite you the most? And then how can we prepare our teams to capitalize on this, latch on it, and then, make business progress?
Okay, thank you very much. So the way I'll go from, I'll put the carts before the horse. I would answer how to prepare the teams before I move to the other parts, because the truth is, no matter what the future brings, it is your level of preparedness that matters the most, right? So that's why it's very important for me to touch base on that. I was recently at a leadership training where it was shown that there's a big difference. Can you still hear me? Please just confirm that you can still hear me.
We can hear you, Julie.
Okay, beautiful. So there's a big difference between planning and preparation, right? Planning is just knowing the blueprint, knowing this is going to happen. Just like in Nigeria, we have Vision 2020, we had Vision 2024, 2030, and all of that. That's planning, right? It's on the table. But moving from planning to preparation is, what do I need to do? I know this is the future. I know this is where it's going to go, but what do I need to do to start moving an inch every day towards that future? And so preparing our teams, first of all, we need to ensure that all our team members even appreciate that, see, the future is going to be rapidly changing. They need to understand and get uncomfortable with whatever they are doing, because certain roles that we have now are going to get obsolete, right, in the future. So we need to start letting our teams know that, they need to start shifting their mindset. For example, I was working in the traditional environment and I decided to say, let me take my marketing into the health tech space and understand what it is there so that I can come back and utilize this information, back in the traditional setting. So first of all is for everybody to get uncomfortable. Then second of all is to stay informed, right? You need to know what is happening. You need to be curious. Every day, get uncomfortable. Don't be too satisfied. Make sure your teams are not very satisfied with whatever they have achieved. I was in sales some years back, and there's something my boss will always say. That sale was last year. That was yesterday's sales. Move on, and let's move on to the future of the sale. Meaning, even if you were celebrated before, right? Don't stay in that space. You need more. So you need to always consistently check out what is the trend. You could be in FMCG, you could be in sales, you could be in marketing, you could be in pharma, you could be in hospital setting, whatever setting. You need to ask yourself, what are the trends in this space? And then another thing you need to do also, as we need to do as leaders, is to consistently expose our team members to possibilities. Right? When you look at things like the Apple, the phone and all of that, you see that the leaders like that they share the vision. They are not talking about it as a phone. That is why an Apple will come out today with almost little or no difference from the previous feature, but you are going to have a wait list and people actually sleeping overnight to buy the latest iPhone 20, which is probably the next thing, right? They could just shift one camera around and say, this is the next feature. But because they are not selling, they've shown you the future of the product. They've sold the vision, and they've created a strong community that is built towards staying there. It's like a cult-like following. It is Android versus iOS, right? So we need to prepare our teams just like that in order for that to happen. And then again, which is most importantly, in that future, what are the skills that are necessary for you to be relevant in that future? I had to change my traditional marketing to growth marketing because now I had to use data, insight, analytics, and a lot of things to work, unlike, the one-on-one engagements we used to have in the traditional setting, right? So you need to check what are the relevant skills. Now, after preparing yourself, preparing your team, stimulating them as much as possible, sharing best practices of people, right, as much as possible, you now need to know what does the future hold, right? What I've seen is this: a lot of people like to do the bandwagon effect. The bandwagon effect is because, this is the future, right? This is one of the future. The future is a possibility of things. And that same future of tomorrow is still going to change even after when you get to tomorrow. So you need to understand that you don't have to niche yourself. So for example, everybody wants to go into tech and believe that you have to go into data analytics, right? Even in tech, even in the future of that, data analytics is even a very, very I want to call it a red ocean right now. You need to move beyond that to another future. I see people that want to stay there. Why are you thinking data analytics alone when you can think about cybersecurity, when you can think about data engineering, because that is also another future. So what you need to know is that the future of analytics is going to be predictive in nature. That is the first thing. You're going to have to utilize your current data tools to be able to predict the future. For example, in Kenya, they were able to analyze, they were able to use the data from clinics to analyze areas that will be prone to cholera outbreak, and they targeted campaigns towards that. So if you work in a vaccine company, for example, these are the things you should be looking at, right? Predictive analytics is what you need to do. And so in Nigeria, you need to, be able to spot all of those kind of things. Then also, you have to know that the future of, where we are now for data is also in real-time data tracking, right? There's a lot of tools we use. We have smartwatches, we have applications, a lot of things. Data is feeding from different and various sources. So we need to also make sure that we are able to build tools. We shouldn't niche ourselves to say, I'm in FMCG, I'm in pharmaceuticals, I just want to sell my product. There could be an application, a mobile application, a software tool that could help your potential clients that you should be talking to developers about, and giving them your idea and then interpreting it into a solution. If you have that kind of power, if you don't have decision-making power, you can continue to give feedback to the top management for them to take, right? So real-time data tracking and getting actual feedback. Then also personalized medicine, for example, is a way the future is going to have.
where you're going to have tailor-made healthcare solutions that will help.
What was it? What was the woman thinking?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Yes, you can proceed.
Okay. So another thing is we're going to have personalized way to, analyze and push our products out there. Personalized medicine is also a future in healthcare. And what this means is just tailoring, our healthcare solutions to individual needs based on the data you have analyzed. You understand? For example, you could be offering your diabetic patient, if you work in pharmaceuticals, you could be offering your diabetic patients a diet plan based on their eating habits. They will tell you what they eat, because somebody that eats rice and stew is different from somebody that eats yam, and the glycemic indexes are different, right? So the future is also being able to provide personalized form of tracking for them, right? So a case study is in somewhere like South Africa. Some healthcare startups were able to use patient data to recommend customized HIV treatments and thereby improving outcomes. So let me give you an example, right? Do you know that we have the ability to, in our campaigns, for example, in marketing, rather than not sending a blunt email, to everybody, hey, I'm Julie from this company, I have this product, if you're interested, click this link, blah, 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 right? There are personalized ways to understand that. If I want to speak to Ibukun, where does Ibukun work? Ibukun just got a role in a life science company. I will be able to utilize AI tools to personalize my message. I will say, hey, Ibukun, congratulations again on your role as the business development for Africa. Now, do you know that in order to enhance your role, you can utilize this tool? So you see, personalized way of is the future of what we have to do. So in terms of what we need to look at, predictive analytics, using our data to predict what the future would hold. So my small nugget for that is, why does it matter to us in pharmaceuticals or FMCG collectively, is that these things that we just mentioned collectively with all the panelists on board, it will help us to be able to improve access to medicines, our products, reduce costs, and so many other things, right? And then of course we can also be able to build skills, and then we are able to adopt technology. So don't think that in order to build that future, you have to wait for the future to happen. You can actually build that future and start now by saying, I want to have this application, or I want to solve this solution. I have this data. What can I do with this data? It could be the data from when last you visited your village during the Christmas break and you saw something, and then you're going to build a solution to it. So start small, collaborate across sectors, be able to know things in order to know what to do with how to navigate this future that is going to come upon us, and be very curious and be very prepared. And be ready to go back to the learning board to learn. Get online things that can help you to learn. Be in a lot of hackathons and solution accelerator programs. And then at least we should be able to step into the future as gently as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. That's very exciting. Can you just tell one little advice for smaller companies that are still growing and then obviously have limited resources? How can we, I would say, start to begin to incorporate these novel trends into daily strategy?
Okay, so incorporating these novel trends into your daily strategy is as simple as like I mentioned earlier on. First of all, what is your goal? What are the things you are chasing? You have to know first. I always will say jokingly to someone, I need to know the size of the Goliath I'm facing so that I will know how many stones I will give my David, right? So you first need to know your goal. What are you chasing? Even whether you're small, big, medium scale, whatever, know your goal first and know what you need, and check your industry first. Check your competitors. You have to know what competitors are using, and then build up on that to get a better thing. So like I said, building an app is not as technical as it used to be, right? We have a lot of tech teams here and there that can help you. even in a small scale company, you also need to utilize tools that can even help you work seamlessly. You need to go and make sure you're having CRM tools, not just the traditional ones that we used to know, the ones that can also automate efforts for you, right? Put all your internal projects there and start sending personalized mails to everybody. You don't have to sit down and start saying, oh, when was the last time Kike, how far? Have you checked your email? Have you done the project? You track it. For example, you can utilize Zoho or another CRM tools that can help you work even as a small scale environment, because you have to start first inward before you even start outward, right? That's the first thing. Then another thing also that you can utilize, like I said, it's not too early to start speaking to developers and tech people that can help you bring certain things to life, that can help your patients or that can help your target audience as well, right? So it's very, very important for you to do that. Then also, a small scale business can move to become a big or medium scale business just by having the right visibility and also having the right, investments and or whatever. Then also, if a small scale business is not able to afford, for example, you cannot afford a certain role. You cannot employ somebody because that role is too expensive. What you can do is to get it on a contract basis or an advisory level and pay per need, get all the information you need, and utilize that competence to move your business forward. For example, you don't want to build apps and have developers in your team, but you can have an advisory CTO, right? A chief technical officer you can have a meeting with that can help you build something within 3 months and then you run with it. So there are different ways to kill a bird, right? Whether you are small, medium, or upscale, right? So I think maybe some of these nuggets would help us. Thank you.
Yes, very much. You have done justice to that question. Thank you so much. So we're going to jump right to Kikelomo. The network was networking as you were wrapping up your last question, but I'm happy to see you back on.
Okay, so
yes. So let me just go. No, I'll get the next question I'd like to ask you, but I'm happy that you're back on now. So as young professionals, everyone is eager to future-proof their skills. So based on your industry expertise, what do you think, what do you see as emerging innovations in data analytics that are important and that we should be tracking? And then how can we, get ourselves ready and prepared to leverage them?
Okay, thank you. And it's good to be back here once again. The future is just the AI driven to go. So everybody has to be prepared. Everybody has to be ready. Everybody has to be able to upskill and continue to learn back to back for us to stay ahead. I remember the last strategy session I had at Lagos Business School, and when we were rounding up, Lagos Business School is even sharing with us that they are delving into AI in the next few years. So we'll be having series of AI, learnings that will be coming up for everyone, just for you to know that they are also ahead. And I'll go back to the question that you asked, Judy, concerning the growing companies, the small, medium companies, how can they fit into this and how can they, and there was a particular question similar to that somebody asked. And the answer, I'm going to give you the response here. He said, we have a lot of people in the NYSC tech guys rooting out for where to just work and just get, within that 1 year, you can utilize them. Back to back, you can have another phase and get them in and utilize them. And the more you utilize them, the more you get whatever you need to get from them, and also you continue with their journey. So we have so many opportunities lying ahead that can only be gotten from the younger ones, mostly as they are coming up. They have this vibe into the tech and they have this energy to assimilate things faster. So for SME companies, they can delve into that and take that opportunity. We have so many tools as well that we can actually leverage on to put together and start working on. We have the Google Analytics, we have the Tableau, we have Power BI. I will be dropping some on the chat box for those of us that want to pick up to actually pick up. So we have so many things that we can lay our hands on for us to transform the future, because the future is just innovation, and is evolving fast. And whether we like it or not, we need to be prepared. I visited a particular company in Agbara, and I was amazed seeing their factory. Robots was doing everything. The only thing humans were doing inside the factory was cleaning. So we have a lot of cleaners cleaning. As the robots, maybe there's a misset or something, they clean immediately. So the only thing they were using humans for in that particular storage place, the warehouse, they are manufacturers of drinks. I would, for confidentiality sake, I won't mention their name, but everything was automated. Everything from the processes, they were computerized sets that they have to key in the numbers of things that it will be stacked, the production process, everything, the number of hours, everything has been, processed. And we questioned him that, so those doing these jobs before, where are they? They said they ensured that they did not sack anybody, or everybody moved into one area or the other within the system, maybe inventory, maybe, but everything was automated. So that's why we have to be prepared. And I was like, wow, in Nigeria, if this can't be happening right now, everybody has to be prepared. Because now you see so many companies also going there. So we supply them gas for their production. But we got to know from market intelligence that bigger companies that you don't even know about, they do that. Bigger companies that you don't know their secret trade, they manufacture from them and bottle up. So everybody is thinking fast. So we have to be ahead, and we have to stay ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's such practical advice. And it's amazing to see how AI and processes are getting automated every day. Efficiency is increasing. And it's just a great time to be active on earth, I would say. And then thank you so much for all the tools and resources that you shared in the comment section. So you can look in the comment box and see all the suggestions that she has outlined for us, tools that can help us increase efficacy and productivity as we work. Thank you so much for that. So we're winding down the session. I have one more question for Ibukun, and please allow me to be a bit poetic. As rising stars in FMCG and pharmaceutical sales, can you tell us your top 3 pieces of advice on effectively leveraging data in the workplace to stay relevant, especially in this era of AI? Everybody's talking AI. Can you just, give us your top 3 advices? I would say advice for that. And then, maybe as you wrap up, can you just touch on how do you see AI reshaping the sales and marketing landscape in the near future? Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. To my rising stars. All right, to my rising stars, I would say that, in today's fast evolving world, data would be the backbone for decision making. You want to combine data, right, responsibly, right, with the power of AI. That's the crux of my advice for young professionals. Combine data with the power of AI. You want to speak with your boss, you want to push for a new initiative in the office, what has been done before, right? Speak the language of numbers. The last time we had this activation, we were able to reach this number of people, and we did it with this and this resources. We did that, piloted with another region, and we had a similar outcome. Now we want to go full blown, right? We've been able to test that this assumption, is foolproof and it will work. It will add to our business. We can project that it will give us Or we can project that we'll have growth of about 20 to 30% on the average, going by what we had from the first test and the second test. All right, so to my rising stars, I'll say, speak the language of numbers, master data literacy. Now, I don't mean for you to become a data scientist in itself, but learn to look at the numbers, learn to crunch the numbers, learn simple basic skills with Excel. Where is data being aggregated? For example, for us, the website visits, you want to plug into Google Analytics. You want to check which page is getting the highest visits and what have you. Speak the numbers. This is the next big product, right? Because we're having more visits to this particular product page, right? Start small, analyze what has happened in the past and use it to make informed decisions. My second would be use AI as an enabler, not a replacement. Julie said it earlier, and I always say it, right? AI is garbage in, garbage out. So far, right? Maybe I have dwelt on the content generation side. If you give AI blah, blah, blue, right? It's going to give you the same thing, blah, blah, blue, right? So you want to intelligently engage AI, right? And see it as an enabler, not a replacement. Stay curious, keep learning, keep testing, all right? It's okay to fail, but if you're failing, please fail in front. Don't fail from not trying. Don't fail from not doing. Don't fail from not learning. Okay, so new assignments, take on projects, volunteer, all right? And express yourself, do you, as much as possible. My rising stars, please, Gen Zs, I'm sorry, no disrespect. You guys, very intelligent, but please try and work in synergy, right? Try and work in synergy with everyone. I know you get it. You know how to, do all of the tech stuff, but there's some wisdom that you can learn from that person on your team that has worked for a while, right? So learn to play also collaboratively. Yeah, so pretty much that's it. Use AI as an enabler, not a replacement. Stay curious, keep learning, keep testing, fail in the front, not at the back. Yeah, I think I said, yeah, speak the language of numbers. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's what I have. Thank you.
Wow, this has been such a stellar session. To recap, we have explored how data is more than just numbers. It's a tool for connection, innovation, and growth. I would want to say a big thank you to all our amazing panelists, Julie, Kikelomo, and Ibukun. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and all the actionable insights. And to everyone in the audience, let us take what we have learned and use data to create meaningful change in our industries. So thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation, and let's keep pushing boundaries. Let's all remember that data is king and actionable insights are the crown. Thank you so much. And I would hand over to Ravi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jennifer and the panelists. Really insightful session. So ladies and gentlemen, we've had an incredible lineup of insights, expertise, and even inspiration. I feel very inspired at the moment. So now it's time to hear from you on the call as we dive into the Q&A session. So this is your chance to engage directly with our brilliant speaker and the panelists. So don't hold back. Ask your questions, right? Whether it's a burning questions, whether I want them to clarify on a topic, whether you want more practical applications of what you've learned so far, what they have said so far, you can drop your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box. You can also direct message me some of those questions as well. So let's make this Q&A session interactive, insightful, and impactful, just like the women that we are on the call, and of course, our allies, the men on the call as well. So I will be anchoring this session. So let's get the questions rolling in and let's get started. So already I can see a question has just dropped, and this is for Kikelomo first. I'm seeing a vibe here. So there's Kikelomo, there's Jennifer. So I can see intelligent names bearing intelligent fruit. Right. So one of the questions is for Kikelomo, that's Fisayo. Am I on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So one of the questions that has come in here is really pertaining to you, and I'd like to start off if you're ready. Can I read it? All right. So the question here says, what strategies would you recommend for women in a male-dominated industry trying to overcome challenges, breaking through, in particular to middle management as well as senior leadership roles? So basically, this person is asking, when you're stuck in a particular role for a while, what do you do differently to break out of that to climb the next step?
Okay, so I'd like to share a story, and maybe that can help answer the question. I remember I took on a role for about 5 years, and I was wondering why nobody was giving me anything new to do. And I did that role diligently, for 5 years of my career, which was what led to having to push me out to go and live in Senegal for 2 years, right? So I got on a flight with one of my managers, and we were going on the trip we were going to Mali at the time. And I had done the presentation deck, done notes for her to do and to present. And basically, I said I like to make life easy for people I work with. So we finished the presentation. It was impressive. We were on our way back, and she was sitting beside me, and she said, "Thank you so much for really helping me." And I said, "You're welcome. But why am I sitting in this role for 5 years? Everybody comes here, they talk about, you do the best, you are fantastic, you are smart. They give me the appraisal, they give me the salary increase, but I don't get the opportunity." And she said to me, "Because you make life easy for everybody here, you need to ask for change. In your career development plan, you're asking to take on your boss's job. You need to bear out and let them miss you so that they beg to have you back and give you your boss's job." So it happens to the best of us when, we're good at what we do. We don't even know how to speak up. What I'll suggest is to be able to break through in that sort of situation, you need to raise up your hand to dare to do something different, to dare to do it even afraid. Because sometimes we're in our comfort zones and we just don't want anything to come and ruffle feathers or to shake, nothing to disturb me now. I've mastered how to do this thing. I just want to keep doing what works for me. But we need to learn to dare to live beyond the comfort zone. I always tell people who are very close to me, life starts at the end of your comfort zone. You can't imagine what you will birth beyond your comfort zone. So you need to raise your hand up to take on a project, take on a role that is probably not popular and redefine it. Because if you stay where you are, guys have a way of, you are looking for a perfect, as women, even though you're good at what you do, you want it to be perfect before you put yourself out there. They take your work, they go and present it. And if you don't build the confidence to do something different, you probably will not build the confidence to call them out when they do that. Because I found out that when I went off to live in Dakar and they had missed me, if I sit in a room and we're talking, so for example, at that time, at BAT, it wasn't popular to have women in the room speak up. So you raise your hand up and then you make a point, and then everybody acts like they didn't hear what you said. And then a gentleman who feels sharp reiterates what you say, does a kill bot or a grammarly on what you said, and everybody starts sounding like they just had a bright idea. I started calling that out as well. I'll say, "Thank you for reiterating the point," or thank you for repeating what I just said and giving it some volume, but not in a troublesome manner. So you need to first step out of that comfort zone and do something different so that they feel that they miss you and then pull you back and give you the elevation that you need. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. And just to remind the person that asked the question, you get a gift, right? And so your gift, will just note down your number, we'll email you and get your gift from Friesland across to you. Another question here is about mentorship and sponsorship, right? So I think a few of us here probably just hearing about sponsorship for the first time. And so the question is, how can aspiring female leaders effectively seek out sponsorship, right? What are the steps involved in it? We understand what mentorship entails. And if you can also elaborate a bit about mentorship, but really the question is about sponsorship, what it is, what differentiates it from mentorship, and how can we use that to plan our career journey going forward?
Okay. I think for mentorship, like I said, we all know that you can always sign up for mentorship, find somebody that inspires you within the organization, outside of the organization that you would like to learn from. I'm an advocate of let your sponsor be outside your function so that you can learn the real soft skills that you need to be better at what you do. But for sponsorship, you probably need a coach within your function. And they don't become automatic sponsors, right? So maybe you approach somebody and you say, I have a career aspiration, and that's what I did. I have a career aspiration to make C-suits, and I see that you sort of like do this as second nature, and I'd like for you to coach me to it. So because they became my coach, they would seek out opportunities to help me build a skill that would take me to where I wanted to go to. And what I found out in my journey is, as long as they gave me the opportunity, opened up, the breadth of interaction with the sort of people who could then speak for me, because your sponsor is somebody who, a conversation is being had in a room about talent or review or people needing roles, and they say, I believe Kike can do that job because she has done this, she has done that. So it's a mix of both your coach and people who have been your line managers or line managers plus one, who have seen the work that you have done. Your coach, the role of your coach is to help you build confidence, to be able to express yourself. Because I think that's what's lacking with many females I find in mid-level management. They're great at what they do. They own their turf, but they're not confident enough to speak about it. They're always looking for perfection before they put themselves out there. And trust me, they never put perfect moments.
Thank you very much. So I have another question already. So I think at this point I must put this question out, right? I only have 5 gifts for this Q&A. I think I have like 10 questions already. So we'll see what we can do to get others their gift as well. So let me just read all the questions in the chat box, right? So it's asking you in terms of how do you get the feel, right? So the question is suggestions on getting your team to feel delighted, right? Willing to carry out a task, not obligated to carry out time-bound exercises. So somebody called, I'm not sure to mention a name, but yes, your question is about in terms of how do you earn the trust of the team, right? Coming from a perspective of a female, having male reportees and things like that. So how have you been able to, in your career, right, gain the trust of your team, getting them to be delighted to work with you, for you, right?